Hey heroes, Cap here, and today I'm back with another Marvel's Avengers video, and today I want to talk about the narrative that's happening with Marvel's Avengers, and so much the operations that we used to expect with, for example, Kate, Hawkeye, and Black Panther, the new way that they're going with the narrative and telling stories, and what are these ways, and is this a permanent plan for the narrative and how they will introduce characters. I'm going to break it all down, talk about the different pros, cons, the potential ways to do it. So be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe button to come along for the adventure as we roll into that intro. So let's first talk about the shifting of focus. Now with our first three heroes that we got added to the game, I'm talking about Kate, Clint, and Black Panther. We've got Taking Aim, Future Imperfect, and War for Wakanda. All operations and DLC events that came with the heroes, to where they all had their own mission chain, their own little narrative that we could play through. However, once we played through it once, pretty much done with it. There was no purpose in replaying it. The replayability factor of those missions was very, very low. Let's be honest. The only time I replayed them was if I had to do it on one of my other platforms, which I have it on all three, so I did have to play it through 3 times. But it doesn't make it replayable, and the focus is on the multiplayer aspect behind this game. So going away from that narrative and those DLCs is actually probably what's best for the longevity of this game, and to intertwine that story into new missions that they bring to the war table and to in-game content. So let's talk about the no more operations part. Operations take a good amount of time to make. The time between Taking Aim and Future Imperfect and War for Wakanda, there was a significant amount of time. Imagine that we know that it only takes 6 months to make a hero. Well, in that 6-month time, you can have a team making the hero while also making a few missions, to where we can get more heroes, more missions dropping, and gives us more to do on that war table. And with them adding these new rituals into the game, with having us play villain sectors, hives, iconic missions, vaults, all of those are ways to bring in more story, bro. Listen to the narrative, listen to the voice lines between the characters and between the villain that they're chasing. I mean, even the stories that are included in the iconic missions, for example, like Thor, Black Widow, Hulk, even Cap had a few in there as well, are ways to not only increase the narrative, but also give us a few more missions to play as, and a more likely chance to replay those missions as they're on the war table and right there for us to do. So it is a shame that we'll be missing out on these operations, as the operations have all been amazing. I enjoyed them all, even though they were all seemed kind of short. I mean, we're talking about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay for each one, where this is a multiplayer, basically has become a looter style game, which means we need that longevity, we need that replayability factor, we need those missions that we want to keep going to over and over and over again, without, of course, getting burnt out or without feeling like we have to do these certain missions. And there's other ways to tell the narrative, which is ultimately what this game is really good at. The campaign, the story behind the campaign, is absolutely amazing. Marvel's always been an amazing storyteller. Focus on the narrative and tie it in with new missions. How can we do this? Well, we've gotten it with iconic missions. For example, when they added Spider-Man to PlayStation, it came with his own mission chain. We've got audio files. Jane didn't really come with her own iconic missions or any special mission to be added to the war table. However, as you completed her tasks, which were pretty tedious, you got audio files. And listening to those audio files, you learn more about Jane Foster, how she got into the universe that Avengers are in, and what it could possibly set up for, as we know that her and Loki have some unfinished business. Loki villain sector, please, thank you, I want it. We also have story-based missions, similar to like Beating the Odds, the OLT, the Raid. These are all in-game content missions, and we've played them over and over again. At least I know I have, as it's the only way to level up. Include your narrative in there. Include how, oh, we have to face Monica. Oh, we have to go beat Claw in order to save Wakanda from him taking over all the corrupted vibranium and completely destroying the world. There's stories behind these cutscenes, and as we're running through and defeating enemies and beating up the bad guys, we're still getting a story behind it. Not only are these missions all replayable, because we've all played these over and over and over again, it also gives you that expansive narrative. So ultimately it brings us to, what is the purpose of all of this? Why do all of this and tell the narrative in these multiple ways? The replayability in the game. This has become a looter style game, which is probably very different from what they first thought the game was going to be. Just the campaign, play it once, done. The game has advanced, has moved on since then, and you've got everyone trying to get the best loadout for Cap, the best loadout for Kate, the best loadout for Jane Foster, which is currently what everyone's working towards. I know at least myself is. You have to have that replayability. You have to have those missions that you want to go in to get you that specific gear piece with those specific stats that you're looking for to make your Jane better than everyone else's. And you're more likely to play the missions to further level up your characters to get that better gear. Especially as we've seen in the last patch or two, like 2.3 and 2.4, where they've been focusing on how to get better gear, how to level up the gear perks that we get with said gear. They've changed a lot, and they've made it easier to get to that 175 power level without having to do the OLT of the raid. Now, does it take longer to do it this way? Yes, but it's a way for solo players to get there and to level up and to experience this new style gear that we've all been getting acquainted with. Also, taking the shift of focus away from operations and moving it to more heroes, more gear, more in-game style missions is better in the longevity of the game. We may not like it right now, as some of us really enjoyed the DLCs. I know I personally did, and to just watch and hear the story being played out and to get familiar with this character rather than just jumping in and trying to get familiar with him. I'll miss the operations, but if it means I get more heroes to play as, more missions to constantly go over and over and over again, I'm definitely going to take the latter, as I'm very excited for what this kind of future holds for Marvel's Avengers. Overall, I think this is the way to go. I think this is the best route to take with the new style of narrative, new style of missions, new style of adding in heroes to the game. I'm not saying that we're getting a massive amount of heroes anytime soon, but to get everyone familiar with the new narrative that's being told with Marvel's Avengers, this is the way to go, and I personally am very excited for it, and I cannot wait to see more of the story being told in these unique, different style ways rather than giant DLCs that drop and playing through a story. I like this way, as I get to experience these new heroes with friends and to level them up and to see all the different builds that everyone comes up with on day one and see how fast you can get them to raid, how fast you can get to them 150. I like that style of the enjoyment behind the game. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this new shift from operations to heroes to how they tell the narrative, and how excited you are for the future of the game, as I don't think it's going anywhere time soon, and it will take some time for some people to get used to it, but overall, this is the way to go. As always, heroes, stay amazing, and until the next one, bye-bye.